mom and dad to go and hear the gospel. So these are the kinds of things that we need to be doing, but the government itself, what do you do to encourage people to get married before they have children? What do you do to encourage people to stay married? That's a tough one. I remember there was a trend in 2 or 3 states some years back about the, what do they call it, the covenant marriage?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, make it more difficult legally to divorce.
Yes.
You know, because there was a move, I remember, I'm one of those crazy guys whose parents watched public television when I was little, and there was a debate, they're going to liberalize the divorce laws, I think maybe in California or whatever, and just make it irreconcilable differences. Because 70, 80 years ago, if a woman goes into a divorce court, the judge might ask her, okay, is he cheating on you? No. Does he beat you? No. Is he drunk all the time, can't hold a job? No. Get out of here. But in the early 70s, we moved towards irreconcilable differences. We want to make it easy for people to...
Do you know who the first governor signed no-fault divorce into law was?
Was it Reagan?
Yes.
Well, that would not be the only bill that he signed that he later expressed regret.
Yeah, I regretted it.
We have covenant marriage in Arkansas.
We do have covenant marriage in Arkansas. Okay.
And you get a divorce, just like, there's one way you get divorced after 18 months normally, if you have a covenant marriage. I think it's either 3 years or something. It's a
Yeah.
long period of time.
Yeah.
Because when you do a covenant, you don't have to do a covenant, but if you do that, you're actually raising the stakes, if you will, for your marriage.
Sure, sure. So I guess the problem, big problem is so many people are having children outside of wedlock. And I know that the federal government set that up with welfare in the 60s to try and encourage that. And then later on, there was welfare reform, and I think Obama undid it or whatever. So if there's anything that the state government can do to try to make it more hospitable or look like a better idea for people to get married if they're going to have children, then that's something we look at. I just don't yet know what that is. But great question. I appreciate that. Yes, sir.
So kind of going off of, so like the GOP, right, is claiming to be the party of the family right now, and so I think keeping marriages together is really, really high priority, and having children, incentivize having children, and de-incentivize having children outside of wedlock is important. But also, we talk about critical race theory. It's a big thing right now. Another one that's particularly big for me, and that is like everyone I talk to, all the way across the spectrum, especially on the right, that's massively unpopular, is this gender queer theory that's being taught in schools.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it seems like some people don't really want to touch that for some reason, and I'm not real sure. But I think that's something that is really, really important. I do not want anybody to have the liberty to teach my child that.
Right.
Ever.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And I would honestly be in support of criminalizing this stuff that we're seeing in these books. I mean, this is literally pornographic stuff labeled as a children's book. I mean, that to me, that is outrageous, and I would hope that we could pass a bill that's got some teeth to it and criminalize that junk.
Well, it's interesting what happened in Florida recently. They passed a bill, and Ron DeSantis, the best governor in America, signed it into law. You can't teach gender, sex, anything like that pre-K through 3rd grade. And the liberals freaked out. They call it the Don't Say Gay bill. And a reporter asked Ron DeSantis about it. He said, is that in the bill? Well, I'm just saying that you're detractors. No. I'm saying, is that in the bill? No, it's not in the bill. It's an anti-grooming bill. So the CEO of Disney comes out foursquare against this bill, and Ron DeSantis has a press conference saying he can take a long walk in a short pier. I don't care. That's right. And Disney is a major employer in Florida. Now, I think it's great that Walmart has low prices every day, and they give a lot of people jobs, and that's fantastic. But they shouldn't be able to, shove their liberal ideology down our throats.
Absolutely.
tired of Walmart and the Chamber of Commerce running the state.
That's right.
And I gotta go back to the SAFE Act, and forgive me, I'm running over, I guess. I gotta go back to the SAFE Act. So, Senator Alan Clark, I talked to him a few years ago about this whole transgender thing, the puberty blockers, chemical castration, sterilization. And I asked him if we could make that illegal. And he went to the Bureau of Legislative Research and they came back with a bill. And I said, well, this is a good start, but there's no criminal penalty here. And he said, you know, we hate throwing people in jail, but we can't really enforce something unless there is a criminal penalty. And then I guess not too long after that, he found out State Representative Robin Lundstrom had kind of a lead on the thing and a better bill, so he dovetailed his efforts with hers. And they called it the Save Adolescents from Experimentation Act. It's a great bill. A bit of a misnomer, because it was also designed to save younger children. There are a number of medical experts who testified against it. And Dr. Natalie Burr, pediatrician, Little Rock Pediatrics, was asked a question by Senator Bart Hester, God bless him. He said, is 4 years old too young to come to the conclusion you were assigned the wrong gender at birth? She said 4 years old is not too young to start the counseling to that transition. Well, I've read plenty of anecdotal evidence that sometimes the counseling is only a few months. So, God bless the Arkansas State Legislature for passing that bill. Not one Democrat voted for it, because why would the party of abortion be interested in protecting children?
That's right.
But our Republican governor vetoed it. Outrageous. Thank God his veto was overridden by a great majority, but Asa went on the Tucker Carlson show on Fox News. Maybe some of y'all heard Tucker Carlson. And Tucker was trying to present him with evidence, with what research exists, that if you do this to children in their 20s, the suicide rate is through the roof. And Asa was like, well, the medical experts just tell me that it's wrong to keep our children with gender dysphoria from going through this process. And so Tucker asked him, anybody from Walmart, Dillard's, anybody call you, any of these corporations call you about this? No, Tucker. Now I said I listened to the medical experts. Now a lot of people saw that interview but didn't see the update the next night.
That's right.
Yeah.
The next night, Tucker Carlson had video from Asa from a few days earlier on a different Fox News show saying, well, we have some major multinational corporations that are based in Arkansas. They're very concerned about this issue. And Tucker looks in the camera and said, so he lied to us.
That's right. Yep.
The day the veto was overridden, the Walton Family Foundation put out a big statement about how proud they were of Asa Hutchinson for not discriminating against our transgender youth.
Yep.
They're 8-year-olds who want to be Spider-Man.
That's right. Yep.
And you're going to let them take puberty blockers, and then when they're 25, they're like, why did y'all do this to me? Why did y'all do this to me? It's outrageous, and when I spoke at the Taco Tuesday meeting for the Pulaski County Republican Party in early December, I said, you know, the Wyoming Republican Party, they disowned Liz Cheney on two things. One is she won't stop criticizing President Trump. Two is she wasn't showing up at county Republican Party meetings in their own state, so they kicked her to the curb. And I said, I think that pales in comparison to what Asa did.
You're right. Yep.
I mean, I said, you know, y'all should have kicked him out of the party.
Yep. Without a doubt. Yep.
They're trying to protect children from being sterilized from life, for life. UAMS and Children's both have transgender units. Y'all know that, right? You can go on their websites.
And we fund it.
And we fund it. And we fund it. It's outrageous. It's despicable. It's beneath contempt as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Any more questions? Yeah, two fellows over here. This one first and then that one.
To boil it all down, children belong to the parents, not the government.
Right. Children belong to the parents, not the government.
Amen.
Some people in the government don't realize that. And again, DCFS takes children, sometimes they leave children in very dangerous situations, but sometimes they take children away from parents who love them. It's outrageous. Yes, sir.
So, I've been in healthcare, I've been a nurse, registered nurse for 27 years.
this COVID thing hit close to home with the jab, I refuse to call it vaccination because it neither meets the patent definition nor does it meet the definition set out by the CDC.
Right.
What they changed last 3 times.
Right.
What ASA did, what the medical community as a whole did, and I can say this as somebody that's been in it, was atrocious, what they did to America.
Right.
So my question to you is, we all saw what ASA did. He was on social media every day pushing the jab, trying to stick a needle in everything with a heartbeat's way out with it.
Right.
And so, we know that this is probably not gonna be the last thing like this that comes through America and the state of Arkansas. You as governor, on the next emergency, using this as an example,
Yeah.
how would you have done this differently? What would you looking at it through what
Right.
you've done?
Right.
And said, what would you do?
Very good question. First of all, I'm thankful that the legislature passed a law clipping the governor's wings to a certain extent. Like, you can't just, declare an emergency and just keep it on, going on and on and on and on. They passed a law on that, State Senator Dan Sullivan, and somehow or another got able to sign it. Miracles still happen. But I realize that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and the governor legally cannot just act like he's the emperor. You know? I mean, the legislature is there to make sure the governor doesn't get out of control. I think our founders, when they set up nationally and in the states, the 3 branches, the executive, which, in DC, that's the president, here it's the governor, the legislative, and the judicial, to try to have these 3 branches keep each other in check, because they realize that we're all sinners in need of God's grace, and there's a tendency to do the wrong thing, and you've got to have accountability. They offer to make George Washington king. You say, oh, no. No, we don't need any more kings. We got to have accountable government. We got to have a constitutional republic, and it should be that way in D.C. and it should be that way here. So, unlike my opponent, I'm not on Facebook all the time saying, well, when I'm governor this, when I'm governor that. It's the grace of God that I was able to run in the first place, and it would be the grace of God to be elected governor. And so, if by the grace of God I become governor, there are a lot of different things that I would like to do to return freedom and liberty to all of us. Because he didn't send his inspectors out from his health department to Walmart or Sam's Club or Target or Lowe's or Home Depot or Kroger. He sent them out to little small mom and pop places that they couldn't fight back. And when, again, Dan Sullivan, state senator, tried to pass a law to give them money back to these people that fined. Oh, no. Dude, you got 1.2 billion. You don't need that 40-some thousand. That's outrageous. There are a lot of things I'd like to do differently. But my opponent says Asa did a great job, and she also said she hopes she will be as good a governor as John Bozeman as a senator, who's voted year after year for budgets funding Planned Parenthood. I know they're old family friends. She was his campaign manager in 2010. I get it. But we've been combing through her financials, and about 90% of her contributions are either for PACs or for people outside Arkansas. And there are a whole lot of Democrat political activists that are contributing to her campaign. Why is that? I don't know. There are a lot of questions a lot of people would like to ask her, but she doesn't like answering questions. But one thing she has said is that she is in favor, she is against government mandates of vaccines. But employers, that's a whole different ballgame. Because in her mind, that's the free market capitalism, so you can tell your employees whatever, they don't want to get the vaccine, they go get a job somewhere else. But again, thank you, Brother Sylvie, for pointing out Arkansas state statute. No, the citizens have the right to make their own healthcare choices.
But just like the badge on your shirt, we'd really like to have a real Republican this time. So we wish you luck.
No more rhinos. I got this from my friend Conrad Reynolds, Colonel Conrad Reynolds, who's challenging French Hill in the primary up in central Arkansas. And I'm proud to wear it. Thank you. We got a bunch of these back on the table if y'all want to see the website and, see my bullet points and stuff. Appreciate it.